Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the WIT podcast. Coming back, me and Brandon are still back in the studio together, so we're going to drop a pretty good one today for you guys. But let me go through the homework real quick. You guys know, like, if we say anything, it resonates with you. You guys can leave us a comment at WIT at BrandonJRoofing.com. Please do me a huge favor: like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. That helps us out a ton, so we appreciate that. So, all of that being said, one of the things that we're going to talk about a few things. One of the things I want to talk about today is this topic keeps coming up in my life. It's come up in my life many times over. It always seems like when there's significant change about to occur, it rings the loudest in my head, or like all the bells and whistles pop up. But it's like, bro, when is enough enough? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when are there, when are there things like, as we grow levels, and we've been talking about this a lot inadvertently, in the business and all that stuff, like, how do you know, like, when the boundary of grace is being, manipulated or pushed, and it's going from grace to tolerance, and you're just in a space of like, it's enough. Like, I've tried to help this person as much as I can. I've tried to deal with this thing as much as I can. And now it's just taking, emotional, mental, physical energy on me. And I'm just like, it's enough. Like, it's enough. Like, something's got to change. So you ever felt that?
Yeah. So you're like, when is enough in dealing with a relationship or a thing that we're tolerating?
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
And where do you go from like, obviously you wanted to give it enough grace, give it some time, talk,
Yeah, man. It's like, it's such a tricky game, man. And I was told, like, early on, you hear these people and, oh, that's my ride or die since high school. That's my boy since high school. That's been my girl since however long, and they were there for me, when I fell off when I was 19. Yeah. And now they've just been falling off their whole life. But they were there for me that one time. So I got to be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like this unhealthy loyalty of a mindset. It's like the unhealthy loyalty. It's like everything. It's such a fine line. Yeah. And one thing I've noticed that, like, as I've continued to grow and scale is at each level, it's like the line gets thinner, like razor thin.
It does.
Yeah. And to where we want to see the best in people. Well, and so first and foremost, we have to figure out, like, what do we want? Yeah. And, like, who do we want to surround ourselves with?
Yep.
What is the standard of people we want in our life, right? And that's something that, like, creating our environment, like, I had to be really intentional about. And I kind of had I had a little bit of an advantage of this, right? I was gone for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't have a bunch of people around me, right? Everybody I was around is still where they're at, And so, and I did, but I did have some people, that were toxic and that were in my life right then, and I was choosing that. Yeah. Right when I came home. And I fell right back into the bullshit, man. But then I came to a place as, like, this is life or death, and like, I have to surround myself with people who have the things I want. Right.
Yeah.
And this is like, I mean, and I mean strictly the relationship with God, the integrity, the sobriety, the spiritual, like, that good people. Yeah. All assets you cannot see. Right. With that being said, like, I had, at that time, I was learning, like, of setting a standard of who I'm allowing in my life. Right. And I also had, like, okay, what do I want? Like, I don't want that life anymore. I don't want that. Like, and so I had to draw a hard line, and it's like, that's it. There's no more communication, period. Boom. And that was, and then setting a standard for who I allowed into my life. It's like, if I can't complain about having people steal from me if I'm inviting thieves into my life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and people, like, I can't complain about that. I can't complain about chaos, somebody bringing chaos in my life. If I'm inviting a chaotic person in my life, it's up to me, especially as the man and the leader of my family, to protect that us of who I bring into our lives. Right. And that's a big responsibility, man. And so it's like, but with that being said, no one's perfect, right? But, like, do I have a standard myself, and do I have a standard for who I am allowing into my life, and what am I tolerating, right? Like, it's like, because whatever is going on, that's what like we're tolerating, right?
Right.
And so, man, I had to first and foremost figure out like, who do I want to be, right? Yeah. Where am I going? Where do I want to go, right? And who do I have that wants to go there too? Like, who else wants to go there?
Yep.
Who else wants to be their best, right? Like, who else wants to? And God, the people he has surrounded me with, like throughout my journey, it's like, man, it's crazy today, right? And because we were just sitting here talking about, like, man, I get like damn near to tears every day, like over just like when I sit back and look at this company and the impact that it's having, right?
Yep.
And I know how this relates to this conversation is because that was all from a standard of who like we were setting here, right? And when is enough, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, I knew that situation really wasn't in alignment with where we were wanting to go, where we were needing to go.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we want to see people, and of course, everybody wants to go. That's the thing. Everybody wants that.
Right.
Whether they say it or not. It's just very few are actually willing to do what's required to get there, right?
Yeah.
Is what I have found. And so it's like, I have, when is enough? For me, it's like, man, when we start talking about jeopardizing other people's success and all of the things, it's like, man, enough is enough very quickly in my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to where, and it's like, is this personally or professionally too? You know, and it's like, you got the professional aspect of it, and to where it's like, okay, for me personally, this is like, they're both massive responsibilities. This is just a little bit different. Right.
Yep.
This is like, personally, I can shield a lot. Right. This, it's like, I'm inviting you into our home with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm opening you up to everybody, you know? And it's like, that's such a big responsibility, and especially as the protectors of that, you know, both you and I and several other people. And so it's like, when it's professionally, it's got to be very quickly. You know, when is enough? And that's not saying we expect perfection out of anybody. Right. But at the same, we do expect coachability and willingness, you know, and it's like, if that's not there, that's when we start jeopardizing. Once you start jeopardizing your own success, whether you realize it or not, you're jeopardizing everybody else's success around
100%.
You know, so it's like, yeah, that when you start jeopardizing other people's success and aren't willing to look at yourself and do something about it, you know, here, and pretty much the same thing, like, man, I have to look like, can I afford to have this person in my life? Right. And what can I add to this person, and what is this person going to add to me? Right. And cause it's like, I made a rule. I only surround myself with people who have the things I want or want the things I have.
Right.
And people got to make a cut to be in life. Right.
Yeah.
And to where people had first beginning, it was people had things I want. And then as I started acquiring some of those things, and it's like, okay, and then I added on, okay, I surround myself with people who have things I want and want the things I have. And we help each other get there together. We hold each other accountable, all the things. But if you don't fall into that, then it's like, man, I don't have room. There's no room.
Yeah.
And so it's up to me to hold that standard. You know, and man, I've had multiple times of, I should have addressed the thing way sooner, you know, and I, you know, whatever you get caught up in wanting to, like, really rooting for the person or whatever it is. And, or just like kind of buying into their bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely a thing. I've been tricked before.
Yeah.
And I've been the one to trick people multiple times, you know, previously. But yeah, man, it's such a line, and it's like, I don't think anybody does it perfect.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So where's the balance for you in having, I mean, cause like you're talking about, nobody does it perfect. So where's the balance and like having grace for people as a human being? And then also, like, the grace meter has run out, and now we're in the world of, I'm tolerating behavior. For me, it's, I watch patterns, right? And if I can see somebody really trying, like putting forth a shitload of effort, I'm going to have a lot more grace for that person, because I can see them actively working toward the change of, you know, or overcoming the hurdle or whatever. The tolerance for me becomes when the pattern becomes a specific type of behavior, or Like things we've talked about in here, there's a specific outcome that keeps occurring and there's no real intent to change directive on the outcome.
Right.
Then at that point, if I continue to accept it, I'm just tolerating it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, we could have had conversations, we could have gotten, added more structure, systems, process. It's like at this point in time, you're choosing it.
Right.
So when it becomes an active pattern of choice, I'm like, I got to start asking myself, like you're saying, is this costing me more than than I'm getting from it? Right. Is it adding to me or is it subtracting from me?
Well, I think too, knowing like expectations, and like knowing to where it's like, I got to ask myself when we're speaking like in a professional manner, like in a setting and talking about this I want to make sure I'm doing my part as the leader to have like, do all the hard essentially.
Yeah.
Which is like all the hard conversations.
Yeah.
Right.
Have I been clear with you?
Yes.
Have I?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's got to be like repetitious, like over and over and over again, is one thing I have found. And it's like, if I'm doing those things, because it's to your point, like, man, if people ask me, I get asked, Brandon, what does it take for somebody to be successful at the company? On a regular basis. And my standard response is always, without a shadow of a doubt, somebody will be extremely successful as long as they're coachable and willing, right? Yep. And stay that way, right? And that's the way I try to stay, and lead by example in that way. And so, but with that being said, a lot of people think that's like that. Coachable may be one thing, willing may be another.
Yeah.
Right? And so
sometimes it can feel like that.
Yeah.
I'm coaching the shit out of you, but you're not willing to make the transition.
Or you consider willingness to be something like, or you're willing, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes, but I just don't need to do that or that either. So, but I am willing.
Yeah.
They're willing like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and when we talk about willingness, is like the real willingness to, man, like constantly like assess ourselves, to be accountable, to challenge ourselves, to be challenged, like all of it. And it's like, and if we're doing those things, and it's like, one thing I want to make sure that I'm able to do before I let somebody go from this company, and it's something Adam and I started doing, like really right when we started like doing it together a few years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. But whenever we would have to remove somebody, is like, man, really him and I meeting or in sales, and now me and you do that in any other area. But it's like, man, have we really done everything we could to get this person up to speed? Like, is our side of the street clean here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And because that's why people have such a hard time, I believe. Let me first say, removing people is definitely the hardest part of the job.
Oh, it's
no
100%.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
But what makes it so much harder, that why people really struggle with it, is because deep down they don't feel like they've done their part. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, if I know if I have done my part, and I am like, I truly have, and I can see it. I can see it on paper. I can see the meetings. I can see the conversations, right? And I've done my part, then does this suck? Yeah, it sucks. But I know at the end of the day, I've done my part. So I'm okay with this. I can go to bed okay tonight.
Yep.
And so I think that's a big deal when we're talking about like removing people, is just like, one, making sure we're doing our part. And when we do that, we know we're doing this from a good place, from a right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back, because you used, I love this word, by the way, willing. I think it's such a powerful word in the English language. Like, you can't be defensive and willing at the same time. You know what I mean? That's what I've always learned. Like, I've watched it in sports and, growing up in life or whatever, but you can't be both trying to defend your ego and staying in that space of, like you said, willing to be coached, willing to learn, willing to be the new guy, like you say a lot, right? Like, they just can't coexist in the same spot. So that's also a big thing for me. Like, if I'm trying to coach them and they're willing and they're accepting it, like we've done before, and they're taking it and doing things with it, then there's a lot more grace in that. But again, like, if you're going to them, hey, you're trying to explain something, they want to defend their position.
Right.
I don't, it makes it way harder.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Yeah. But it's just like the facts.
Yeah.
Like, what do the facts say?
Yeah.
And it's like, the facts can't be, it's really important for me, like when I have like the conversations, and I want to do my best when I'm going into those conversations to prep myself.
Yeah.
You know, and to have factual data.
Yep.
That's not arguable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As soon as it becomes like,
I've been in conversation.
Yeah.
I've been in conversations where factual data does get argued.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Of course. Right. But it's a little more, you got a little more grounds to stand on.
That's
right.
Yeah.
And to where like the second you put like an opinion out there with it.
Right.
And you might be able to get that off one time, but if you throw 2 or 3 in there, it's like you're not going to get anywhere you want to be in that conversation.
Right.
You know, in my experience. And so, yeah, man, it's such a fine line of who we choose to have into our life.
Yep.
And that is that the last part of the sentence, who we choose to have into our life. For a long time, I did not have the option of who I was surrounded by.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, that was it, you know, and that was, it sucked, but you know, it is what it is. And so I really appreciate having the option today of who I surround myself with. Right. And it's like, I mean, because you hear people complain about this literally all the time.
Yeah.
You know, acting like they're victims of the world they created.
Right.
You know,
right.
And like we just have zero control of our environment.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't like wherever you're at to that level, you can leave.
Yeah.
Most places, as long as you're not incarcerated, you can leave.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And really choose to how you're going to design your environment with the people that you want.
Yeah.
And it's like we just have to know what that is.
Yeah.
You know, and actually start taking that action.
I want to ask you something. What do you what do you think, or how do you feel about the word compromise? And I'm going to kind of give you, you know, like, one of the things as I was researching this topic and kind of going through some things of like, you know, like, why is this important that we talk about when is enough and the difference between tolerance and grace and some of these things. One of the words that kept coming up was, the phrase specifically was death by 1,000 small compromises. Right. So I've always struggled with that word compromise, bro. Cause I'm like, you know, like in relationships, it's like, let's reach a compromise. And I've heard variations of this. Like a compromise could be one person loses, or both people are losing a little bit, or one person wins and again, the other person loses. So I've always been in this space of like, you know, let's find a middle ground. Let's find a compromise, you know, whatever. How do you feel about that word?
Yeah. Well, one, I think I think there really most times can be a space where nobody has to walk away feeling like they lost. Right.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with reasonable people.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's a caveat.
Yeah. Right. No doubt. And it is 100% like, you know, it's definitely different in a personal relationship, you know, than it is like with work. Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we said, like
Some
everybody
things
has to earn their spot. To be here, right. And this is going to be different in a relationship, you know, with your wife, with your husband, whoever that is. That's a lot different than your coworker and what you're willing to compromise on. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, that's what a lot of relationship obviously is compromise, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so now, but coming over is like compromising our integrity, compromising, you know, whatever the standard is, right? To whatever the feeling is at that time or the inconvenience. So we have to lower the standard, you know, and it's like, I feel like it's when it comes to work and it's like when the standard's there, it's there. And the only thing, like, I get one of the biggest things for me, like the absolute is honesty, right? Honesty. And it's like, as long as somebody's honest, right? And it's like, most of the time, man, if somebody is like, if they mess up or whatever the thing is, and it's like, man, is really honest and like stand on their shit and like being accountable and everything.
You can work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause people want to see people win. Like people want to help people.
Well, to me, that's where the greatest form of trust is found. Like if you came to me and you're like, hey brother, like I saw you do this thing, you fucked this up. Like you don't say stuff like that, but you would be like, hey, you definitely messed this up. We need to address it. And I immediately go, damn, bro, I did mess that up. Yeah. That's going to save us so much time, energy, and space, as opposed to me being like, well, what are you talking about, Brandon? I don't see that. Blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like now we're in this circle jerk of like, you know, like nobody's going to win in this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But honesty, to me, the confrontation of seeing the thing and the other person owning it immediately, there's so much trust in that.
Right.
Because it's just like, damn, I know if I take something to you and I say something, I have to have a hard conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you did this. And you're like, fuck, I did.
Yeah.
Then I'm just like, I trust you so much more
Yeah.
because I know when I'm going to bring hard shit to you,
Right.
you're going to
Right.
own it, deal with
Yeah.
it. We're going to resolve it.
And that's like one of the biggest, I think definitely, like if we're in, whoever's in leadership positions, and it's like, man, just being the example is so important in that. So important.
Yeah.
And it's like, cause even, especially like with newer people, maybe newer to your culture, hopefully this is your culture. But it's like when they might not have experienced that before, like
Right.
that level of accountability and ownership. And so it's like, when they see that from their leader as an example, man, it's powerful, you know, for sure. And it's always like, man, and letting them know that's what we expect out of you too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And not just through our actions, they
Right.
see it,
Right.
right?
For
On
sure.
pretty much a regular thing.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
how do you feel about, like, we don't have a lot of it here, but I just want to touch on it because I know I've talked to other guys in the past, guys that listen to this podcast and whatever. When you tell me the importance of, like, when you have somebody in your culture that everybody can see, you're tolerating mediocrity of this person, whether it be a leader, you know, somewhere, doesn't matter, position, but you're tolerating, what does it say to everybody else in your organization?
Man. Yeah. That's,
what if you don't show them the importance of, like, ridding this out of the culture?
Man, it's just like the homeostasis of every team, you know, it's like the top performers make everybody a little bit better, and the bottom performers make everybody a little bit worse, bring everybody a little bit down. Right. And at the end of the day, you know, it's like, okay, how am I impacting the team? You know, everybody, and it's everybody being aware of that, you know, and that at the end of that, they're actually being accountable to the things, you know, and like accountable. It's gotta be fast, man. Because especially like with the leaders, right? In they're the pace, you're the pace cars of your organization.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's from your sales to production to the standards, the way of living, everything, you know? So it's like, are we looking at it like that?
Yeah.
Do we actually look at leadership and like, man, realize the responsibility that it is, right? And just the obligation and accountability, all of the things, and is just making sure that, like, we are doing our best to do that, and our best to hold the line on that, you know?
Yeah.
That's,
I think I mean, from my outside perspective, well, I've been here for a little over a year or so now. And, like, I've watched you guys, the hard, like how hard it is to, like, get some of these guys out, and I've watched it happen, but I've also, you know, nobody wants to see some of these guys go. There was another guy last week that I really liked, but just, again, not there. But the message that it sends to the rest of the squad, like we're always talking about, like, we can't tolerate it.
Yeah.
We can't tolerate it for the betterment of all of you.
Right.
The betterment of the organization.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much we like the person,
Yeah.
but it's like when it starts to really have a ripple effect of what it's doing to the culture, and we just can't do it.
I'm glad you answered that. I do want to answer because I forgot the question like halfway through
Yeah.
I was talking.
Yeah.
But no, it is like, man, it's so important for us, like, and anybody else. It's like, it sucks, like, when it has to happen. But again, like, we have a whole organization, hundreds of people to protect, literally hundreds. And so it's like, at the end of the day, we are, if, you know, one of the biggest things that, we have that we want to stay in alignment with is our employee experience. That's customer. Like our huge in our customer experience, right? And it's like, our culture is the heartbeat of this whole thing, and the just all of the things, the next level, like a standard we pursue, just reaching for greatness at the end of the day. And it's like, man, when you have everybody on the same page of that, like, truly trying to show up and be their best, man, it's so powerful.
It is.
You know, it's like, I heard Ed Milet say one time, there's nothing more powerful than the environment and the standards of a community. We will either rise to or fall to.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah.
And I believe that when I heard it too, which was years ago. And so at the end of it, I was like, damn, okay, so I have to make sure, like, this standard is high, right?
Yeah.
And it's up to me to protect it. And then it's like other people started like feeling that too, like this is their baby.
Yeah.
And it's like they're protecting it too. And because it's like this is their vehicle, they're achieving their dreams through, right? And it's like it's awesome when everybody's on the same page, like everybody's doing that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the entry fee is high, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's awesome, incredible, life-changing stuff we got going on here. And that's just the facts of it, and I'm super grateful to be a part of it. But the entry is high. The entry fee is high. And it's not just like people just show up here and clock in and clock out. Like this is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's
you know, saying on that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when you say the entry fee is high, bro, that entry fee gets fucking paid every day.
Yeah. Every single day. That's what I mean.
And I think most people think like, well, now I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like,
no,
now that you're in, the work
day.
just began.
It just begins.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, man, and I tell like, this is something I say, and it's not as a threat. It's just the facts. And I'm saying this to myself just as much as I am to anybody else. It's like the second, like every single one of us here has to show up and earn our spot every single day.
Every day.
And if we, the moment we stop, somebody's going to be trying to knock us out of our spot and come take our spot from us.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and we all owe that to one another as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when you have that, like, in next level ownership and accountability amongst a collective group, man, I like mountains are moving.
Yeah.
Mountains.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so and it's so precious. And that's the thing is about it is it's moving mountains, but it doesn't have a foundation of a mountain. It's fragile.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the bigger we get, the more fragile we get. And it's like, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest fights and roadblocks big organizations have is their culture and their standards dropping. Right. When 50 million plus, like the culture, just a lot of people, it's harder to control. And I honestly believe we've done quite the opposite, you know, and it's like, as we've grown, like our culture has gotten more dialed in, our standards have gotten higher, like, and it's like the results have gotten better, like all the things. And it's like, at the end of the day, man, I still love and have a lot of love for people that are no longer here, but not as much as I have for this.
Yeah.
And I have to protect this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I got two things for you, but I hope people really understand. This podcast is not just about, you know, when enough is enough, what you tolerate, you know, the standards, all that stuff. There's millions of dollars in this podcast because this is the separator. Like this is one of the biggest separators. Like you got to be so willing to protect the standard of what of the life you're trying to build, of the company you're trying to build. Man. And we were talking about it before we came on, where you even said it a little bit in the podcast where you were like, I'm so, like, I tear up every day. I'm so grateful for, like, you know, what we're building here and what this life is like and, you know, whatever. And I think it really comes down to this, bro. Yeah. It's like so many people get to a space where they're like, their tolerance is so high that they literally just give up on their dream and they mail it in because they can't hold the standard because the tolerance is so high. Yeah. So it's never like when we talk about when is enough to them, like it's enough, like just being right there is enough, right? They're not willing to like get rid of the one dude that might be causing the problem, or get rid of that leader that's causing the problem, or change that thing in their life, that person outside in their life that might be causing they're just not.
Yeah.
And it's holding them right there.
100%. Man, that reminded me of something. I'd walked through a big building a while back, and it was while back, year or two ago. And a big building, and you know, the person that previously occupied that building had a massive vision. It was built out beautifully for what it was going to be doing. It looked like this building was going to generate hundreds of millions of dollars, and like lives were going to change in here. I mean, it was, man, so much. It was this person had such a big vision. It's like it's like you realize why things happen. This person had such a big vision, man. And at the end of the day, did not have the standards to fulfill it. Yeah. And it scared the shit out of me. And it was like, never in a million years. Yeah. You know, because you got to have the standards to fulfill the thing.
Yeah, bro. Anybody can buy the building. Anybody can buy the house. But if you don't create the standard of what it takes to sustain it or move past it, man, you can lose that shit in a blink. So, I've been there, man. Fast. I know exactly when you let that standard slip for a minute.
Yeah. It's
gone.
And that's like, seriously. And it's like, you know, it's like we realize that, and it's like, and took all the life experience to realize that. And it's like, man, when I started realizing, it's like, okay, man, I wish I would have figured this out sooner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you do have control of your life.
100%.
You know, you do have control of who you allow into your life. And it's like, man, it's just life by intention, man, life by design at the end of the day. And are we willing here? And this definitely relates to this. I was told years ago, Brandon, you cannot fall in love with any one person more than you fall in love with the vision.
Yeah.
And it's, when I first heard that, I thought it was like, damn, that's cold. You know, I was like, I don't know. But like, and I thought about it, said in it, and it's 100% true.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, like outside of my wife, man, it's like when it comes down to it, like we're either in this or we're not.
Yeah.
You know, you're either helping us get closer or taking us further away. There is no gray area.
There's no gray area.
And that's where people think there's a gray area. There's no freaking gray area.
Yeah. There's no room for interpretation or any of that.
Right. And it's like, man, you don't owe, you know, like your high school buddies or whatever the thing is. It's like you owe yourself.
Yeah.
Like you owe God, you owe your family, you know? And it's like we have to just stand guard. Stand guard.
You don't even owe the people that helped you start it, man.
Right.
Do you know how many guys I know that are stuck and they're like, but I got this guy that helped me get this thing off the ground.
Right.
And I'm like, but he's the anchor now.
Right. Right.
He's not the engine anymore.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's such a hard thing.
Well, and it's such a thing, like, man, I've had people like reach out to me like that shared like a bit of like 20-minute phone call or a little bit of information like early on, like essentially where do you put the key at,
right?
You know, type of information. Yeah. And it's like I owed them. And it's like, it's not happened a lot, but it's definitely happened, you know? And it's like, man, that's such a, like, don't have that mindset yourself either. Like you're helping somebody to like, oh, I'm getting something now you owe me,
right?
You know?
Right.
But regardless is stand guard. Figure out what it is, where it is you want to go in life, what exactly it is you want. What is the standard that it's going to take to live by to get there? And man, if that's something, and this has got to be, it can't be what you kind of want. These have to be must. Like these are absolutes. This is happening, you know?
Yeah.
And stuff that's going to move us in our darkest hours, stuff that's going to like give us our North Star and our direction that we can be in alignment with and make decisions based off of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to where it's like, I know if this person, is this person a fit in my life? And here's the thing, I was taught, and I'm so glad I thought about this. And early on, I was shown I had to put principles before personalities. And I had to put principles before personalities.
Yeah.
Because, man, I might like somebody or go hang out with somebody.
Yeah.
And, man, that person, they just crack me up, have me rolling all night. You know, it's like, just they're hilarious. They're fun to be around. You know, it's like, Larry's like, and then, you know, it's like, hey, you want to go get some blow or do whatever? It's like, oh, you know, it's like, I can't do that.
Right.
You know, I can't be around that.
Right.
And so it's like, man, I like you.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't have the principles.
That's right. The principles don't align.
Right. And so it's like, I really have to put, like, I have to, it'll kill me.
Yeah.
I have to put the principles before the personality. Right. And I was showing that early in recovery as I was coming up, and you know, it's like putting this in all areas of life, right?
Yeah.
And so I still, and I learned because I personally, man, I have to respect somebody before I like them.
Yeah.
I have to. And it's just I don't know, it's who I am. But here, once I begin to respect somebody, like I might not like somebody off the jump, but like once I start respecting them, I find the things I like about them and respect about them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's what it's turned into today. And man, it's like just putting those principles before personalities. It's like what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like, if that's something I remind myself of daily. I set a standard of who I allow into my life because I have to protect the ones that are around me.
So how would you, just to summarize, how would you say, when you've reached the point where enough is enough, how do you know? When you reach the point, and whether it's professionally or it's, you know, with friends or people in your life, you know, some of you guys might be I've struggled with this in family where I've just gotten to a point, you know, like, here, this person, I can't be around this person anymore. Enough is enough. Yeah. How do you know when you finally reach the point? All right, it's enough.
I think everybody's different, man. And again, it comes down to that tolerance.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, is this person adding or taking from my life?
Okay.
Right. And it's like, and cool, you might be able to take for a second, but like, we're going to have a conversation about it. And if it doesn't change quickly, you're not going to be in it.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just where that tolerance level is. And you just got to ask yourself, is this person in alignment with who I want to be? Are they adding or taking from my life?
Okay.
And I don't know about you, man, but I still don't have room for takers.
I don't, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think I did for a while. I think it actually made me feel, I don't know, it made me feel good, like being a constant giver to people who were takers. You know, you constantly feel like you're trying to help them or whatever, but at some point in time,
like an enabler.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You become an enabler and it maxes you out.
Yeah.
So.
And just being fair and transparent. I've been that guy too.
Yeah.
For half my life, I was that guy, you know? And so I know what to look out for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spot that shit
because I
from a
wasn't.
mile away. 100%, man.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up. Just on it, also, so you guys know, because we use the words tolerance and standards in here. There's a podcast a few episodes back that we actually called Standard versus Tolerance. So you guys should go back and listen to that too, because it plays into a lot of what we were talking about today and kind of drawing the hard line. But again, if you guys have any questions about anything we went through today, WIT at BrandonJRoofing.com. You guys, please like, comment, share the podcast out there. Leave us a review. We really appreciate that a lot. So until next time, we'll chat with you guys soon. See you.